everybody. So we're back for another episode of The Mainline. And today I'm going to be joined by two of my fellow board members. So I sit on the board of Supernova Women, which is a nonprofit that is founded to help minority Black entrepreneurs exceed in the space. So I'm really excited to bring Whitney and Amber on the stage with me. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Hello.
So like I said, Whitney and Amber serve on the board with me. Amber is actually the co-founder of the organization, but they also do a lot of really other great things in the industry. We're all operators in the space, so that makes our nonprofit really special in that we really, really understand the space. We understand what it takes to be a part of it. And we want to really see other Black entrepreneurs succeed and women of color succeed in this space. So yeah, I want to give you both the floor to talk about your individual businesses and then to share a little bit about what we have going on as Supernova Women.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll get started. My name is Amber Center, co-founder and executive director of Supernova. I'm also have my for-profit businesses. Breeze Distro is the name of my company. We're headquartered in Oakland, California. We manufacture as well as distribute cannabis and cannabis-infused products throughout the state of California. We have a number of house brands. One, this is right behind me, the Congo Club. It's an African landrace sativa. We make a number of different other infused products, capsules, tinctures, even little juice shots of cannabis. And we also do something pretty cool where we have an incubator, and it's a social equity shared manufacturing facility. So we are incubating 6 Black and brown social equity operators, where we're helping them create manufactured products, and then we distribute them throughout the state of California to different retailers. So we're all about building inclusive supply chains and making sure that Black and brown brands are visible on the retail shelves and that consumers know that we're out here and that we exist.
Hey everyone, I'm Whitney Beatty. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I am CEO of Apothecarry Brands. We are an ancillary company in the cannabis space. The best way to describe what we do is that people keep their wine in a wine fridge, liquor in a bar, cigars in humidors, but they keep their high-end cannabis in a shoebox under their beds. And my job is to fix that. We make sleek and sexy storage and humidity solutions for cannabis connoisseurs, and have for the last 5 years. I came to the cannabis space in 2015, moving out of the entertainment industry. I was a development executive for 15 years in that space and transferred my skills in. I'm also a phase 3 round 1 social equity applicant in Los Angeles for a retail and delivery license. And I'm opening one of the first dispensaries that are focused on women of color called Josephine and Billy's, that will open at the top of Q3 this year. So that's kind of my background. And I'm also vice president of Supernova. We seek to encourage women of color to become stakeholders in this space. You want to talk a little bit more about what we do with Supernova? Or you want me to, how you want to do this, Amber?
Yeah, we talk a bit about Supernova. So we got some things popping at Supernova a lot this year.
Popping.
Last year we did some pretty cool stuff with, well, you can talk a bit about what we did last year with Masterminds and the Surf Fund.
So with us in Supernova, because we're encouraging, we want to see stakeholders within this space. So we really work hard to bring together the world of operators. You know, everyone who sits on our board is an operator within this space. So some of the new ideas that we've brought to the table in the past year has been our mastermind program, which allows people who are at the same stage of development to work together as some sort of like a hive mind, to be able to share resources and ideas, and to be able to see all of those businesses move forward. You know, if someone's at a $500,000, how can I get you to $1 million? How can I get your $1 million to $5 million a year? Being able to give them the skills to do that growth. Last year, we also did our first grant fundraising. We had the Surf Fund, which we did in partnership with OEG Group, and we raised almost $30,000 for people, Black and brown businesses who had their businesses damaged during the uprisings over the summer. We wanted to make sure that we did our best to make them whole. So we gave $5,000 grants out to those businesses. We're also 50, I'm sorry, my bad. Let me not leave out $5,800 grants to those businesses, which they were very grateful for. And we're always doing things on the educational front. We even within the pivots that we had to make during COVID, we were able to do a webinar series that is really hard hitting on how to make those pivots during COVID, but also how to keep your business up, operational, compliant, be able to make your supply chains work better and smoother, payment processing. Those have always been, the heart of our issues. We also do a lot of networking events, both, in person where we're doing panel discussions with a network event or a network event with a keynote speaker. But I think one of the other powerful things that we do is we make sure that we make spaces for Black and brown people at large cannabis events. So if you're at a Hall of Flowers, if you're at an NCIA, we partnered with other organizations. We did our NCIA event was with Hood Incubator and MCBA to have a place where the Urban Mixer, which is also a turn up, but to have a place where we feel at home and we can network and we can get those connections, even if you're not on that conference floor, that you have the opportunity to get some of those benefits.
Mm-hmm. Another cool program that we just launched I wanted to talk a bit about is our workforce development program.
Yes.
So this has been a huge undertaking, but it's going to have some really awesome results. So we've worked in partnership with the City of Oakland to set up the first social equity workforce development program in the country. It's funded by the City of Oakland. So what we're doing is we are recruiting people from underrepresented groups that live in areas that have been over-policed, primarily, of course, Black and brown folks. And we are teaching them how to manufacture cannabis products, as well as how to track them through metric and understanding the world of compliance. So folks go through our training program. They're paid $20 an hour. They're trained by a college professor. We have a number of resources in the program to help support these folks. We have a coach that is born and raised Oaklander, that's also a Black person. And it's really important that we make sure that folks don't get left behind in this program. So we're offering a number of different resources to make sure that people are successful in this program. So they go through an online training program for 6 weeks. Once they graduate from that, they move into my incubator, which is a Equity Works incubator. And they'll be in there assisting the social equity operators in manufacturing cannabis products, inputting these batches in metric, and making sure that they're moving through the supply chain in a compliant manner. And then at the end of the training program in December of this year, we will place them either with one of the social equity companies that they've been working with throughout this year, or they'll be placed with another company, cannabis company in Oakland. There's a number of different cannabis companies and organizations that are really excited to hire these folks because they know that they've gone through a very rigorous but educational and really engaging and useful, valuable program. And so we're really excited about this. We've put a lot of work into it, a lot of resources into this program and making sure that it works. And not only that, but that we can continue to grow it and make it bigger and better and scale it in the future. And really, as these social equity programs have been taking shape in Oakland, it's been really exciting because Oakland's been really a leader in creating these programs, and with partners like community partners like the Hood Incubator, community partners like Supernova. We're really working to make sure that these social equity programs work, and we're setting a gold standard for the rest of the country to follow.
Absolutely. I mean, the work that you guys are doing up there is amazing, especially when you're looking at numbers like that. There's going to be more jobs in cannabis than manufacturing by the middle of the year, being in the middle of the decade. Being able to get people prepared for those jobs so they can have upward mobility within the space is critical.
Yeah, and you know what's really awesome too about our program is the core competencies that you learn here and the core hard skills that you learn, they're transferable outside of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say you don't want to stay in cannabis, you can certainly take this manufacturing training and this metric and track and trace training and transfer it to another industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that one other thing that we should mention about Supernova is the amount of advocacy work that we do within this space. And Amber, you've spearheaded so much of that, especially as you have conversation about the things that you've done, or the programs that we partnered with Oakland and the success of the Oakland equity program as a whole. The advocacy work to get that program in place. Continuing to advocate on the municipal and state level, as well as nationally. I think that is a key competency of Supernova. You want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. So Supernova worked with the city of Oakland to develop and implement the first social equity program in the country. We also worked. Yeah, that was big, right?
That's huge. I'm like, you said it like it's normal. Like, we're here doing it.
Yeah. And then we worked with the city of San Francisco to help establish theirs, which was big.
Mm-hmm.
And then we worked with Senator Stephen Bradford's office at the state to establish SB 1294, which is essentially the social equity fund that turns around and funds all these programs throughout the state, making these programs even possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really incredible, like the components of these programs and what they can actually do. Like, for instance, in Oakland, they have we have this a grants and loans fund. So operators are eligible for grants of up to $70,000. They can get a zero interest loan for up to $150,000. They can get a workforce development grant for $50,000 to help them train, recruit, and place social equity workers. 50 grand.
That's huge. That's, when one of the largest barriers to entry is capital, because you can't go to SBA, you can't go to Bank of America. Those sort of things are real, things that move the needle. And I think it's important that we talk about it as well, because as we see legalization spread to different states and different cities, take a look at the way in which they're going to implement this. It's our hope as Supernova Women that people will take our, take where we left off and be able to bring those programs to their municipalities. It's very hard to put a social equity program in place after these laws have been passed, after the licensure has already started to be given out. But at this point in time, if your city, if your state is looking to move into this space, now is the time to start advocating. Now is the time to be familiar with these programs. It becomes critical.
Absolutely. And I also can't really emphasize how important it is that to focus locally. There's a lot of folks that are like, oh, well, federal legalization, we need to do something at the federal level. No. Like these social equity programs are hyper local. Really, who governs how your business operates is at the city level on the day-to-day basis. And cannabis is really a very, very local issue that you've got to be engaged civically. So talk to your council members, talk to those people that represent you at the city level. Those are the folks that are going to be able to make the biggest changes to your operating business.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Hope, what else
So,
you got for us? Mm.
hey, where you at? What's going on?
Yeah, well, thanks guys for the overview. I'm excited to be able to take some of the models that you guys have already set up and bring them over to the East Coast, because a lot of our followers know that Maryland is in the process of going through legalization efforts. So, now's the time to really make sure that the funding is there so that we can then go back and make sure that programs like this can come to the East Coast too. A lot of these states are not putting that in legislation. So, and then they say things like, when I talk to legislators, a lot of people say things like, I don't, I've never seen it. I've never seen it done, or there's no other state doing it. I'm like, California's doing it. And then the city of Oakland is like really doing it. So
Illinois is doing it. Michigan is doing it, all at different levels with different programs. But yeah, this is starting to catch fire, and it's very necessary.
Yeah. I love, especially, I think the workforce development program is the most exciting thing that I've seen so far come out of a social equity program. And that's something that I feel like the state of Maryland in particular will champion, just because they're kind of known for workforce development in other industries. So I could definitely see that being huge here too. So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to bring that over here. But I did want to change pace a little bit and kind of talk to you guys about, being a woman in this space, being a woman in business and entrepreneurship in general. And just about what that is like, and just kind of some of the woes, but then the good things too, because, I think we focus on the negatives so often. I think there's some perks to being a woman in business, and not just in cannabis, but yeah, what that's like, and what that means. It's Women's History Month. We just had International Women's Day. I think that this is an important conversation to have. So either of you, go ahead.
I mean, if you're talking about positives, I'll give those first. I'll give the flowers out first. I think that the women in cannabis are an incredibly inclusive group. And I get so much strength from them being able to, when my ish hits the fan, be able to call my friend Amber and be like, you won't believe what's happened to me, or XYZ. So I feel like there's a support system in place. There's a resource system in place, which I think is very powerful. I mean, the plant is female, and I think that, I've seen across the board females come together on lots of different issues in lots of different ways. If we're talking about the negatives, it's still a man's game. The number, we used to talk 2-3 years ago about there's more female CEOs in cannabis than anywhere else. That number has been plummeting on a year-over-year basis, and it's because we're not seeing the funding. We're not seeing the funding, so those businesses are closing. Whereas we're seeing a lot more white male cis businesses being able to get that funding. And we've known that. I mean, VCs are giving 2% of their dollars to female-led businesses. So that becomes, disappointing to see. I think that being a woman in this space often means having to shoulder the female voice in all male spaces. So I've got to come in, and I've got to be the woman, and I've got to be the Black. I've got to be the monolith of two groups because there's no one else around the table. And so making people understand why representation is important, and why businesses that are diverse do better. Businesses that have women in those seats do better. The data is there and it supports that. So I think those are some of the push and pulls that I feel. And then also the other thing is, as a mother, it's a hard space to be in as well. We don't have take your child to work day at the dispensary. So you can't, so it becomes a little bit difficult that way. You get awkward, conversations, but yet and still, there's no place I'd rather be.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah. I mean, echoing a lot of Whitney said, finding your tribe is really important in cannabis. Finding some camaraderie amongst women is really important, because it is a man's game. we are, as Whitney mentioned, as the capital comes in, the amount of women involved at the executive level goes down increasingly. And it's not easy to operate in this space. I mean, let alone as a woman, as a Black woman, like who wants to give a Black woman money for a federally illegal business? You know,
right?
Crazy, really difficult. So, kudos to all the female founders, Black women. Creating space, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else too.
Yes. I want to definitely commend you both for dedicating your careers to that. You're selfless people, both of you. And at the same time, you're building really great businesses. And, I think that we're all going to be 10 years from now looking back like, look at what we've done.
I hope so.
We've helped. I know so, Whitney. I know so. We work so hard, all of us. And
we do.
All that you guys have poured into Supernova, I'm really thankful that you brought me a part of the family and that I get to be a part of it now and helping to build it. I definitely envision Supernova being something that really is national, and that we can see remnants of in every social equity program throughout the state, throughout all the states, and throughout the nation. So I think that we're well on our way. You guys both have some really exciting things coming up for your business in the next, for this year. So we'll definitely probably try and get you both back on maybe later on in the year to kind of get an update of what happened with your opening, Whitney, and how did the workforce development program go, Amber, and who got placed where, and what brands are going where. I think it's going to be really exciting to kind of see some of these things come to life, because this is going to be you guys are pioneering a new charge. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm extremely thankful of your time, both of you. I know you're extremely busy, so thank you. And if you have any last words of encouragement for anybody who is looking to get into the space, please go ahead, share them with us now.
Yeah, I'm sure they've heard this before, but I have a background in marketing and branding, and that's how I got into cannabis, was through marketing and branding. So don't try and reinvent the wheel or yourself and getting into this industry. Do what you're good at, and just figure out a way on how you can apply it to cannabis. Also, this industry requires grit. You're not going to be able to you have to be very agile in this space. Regulations, rules, always changing, always. And you really have to be prepared for the unexpected. But know that you have to have a lot of grit, and the cannabis industry is also resilient. We've seen what's happened during COVID. Business in cannabis has gone up significantly. Mm-hmm. So this is
illicit to essential.
Yes, this is an essential industry. It's resilient, but you also have to be resilient in this industry.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, I can only echo what Amber said. I tell people all the time, if you're telling me you want to come in this space and become a grower, but you can't keep a houseplant alive, that's not for you. Find the lane that you're supposed to be in. If you're a nurse, bring that skill here. If you're a teacher, bring education skills. Find those transferable skills. This is a large industry with places for all. So look in that. And the grit is real. I tell, my favorite quote is, women who seek to be equal to men lack ambition. So my job isn't to come in here to be equal to me. I don't want to be equal to who is he for me to be equal to? I'm coming to do what I've come to do. And what I'm come to do is going to be the best in class for what I'm coming in for. So, I'm not trying to hit a middle ground. Yes, it's hard to be, a woman in cannabis. Yes, it's hard to be a Black woman in cannabis. Yes, it's hard to fundraise as a Black woman in cannabis. Do it anyway. Work hard anyway. Have the conversation anyway. Like, I get no's every day. I am not made of magic nor gumdrops. People tell me no constantly. I wake up the next day and ask again anyway. So get that sort of grit. You have to let that, all the crap roll off your back and keep moving. Believe in what you're doing. Believe in the project that you're putting out there. Because at the end of the day, I don't come to investors begging for money like it's a gift. I'm giving you an opportunity to invest in something that I know is going to make money. I'm here to make money.
Hello.
I'm here to be successful. So get in with it.
That's probably a whole
that's
conversation topic in itself. Like, I think we forget that when we're going to pitch ourselves. That
you do.
Yeah, I don't forget that.
I say it to myself in the mirror.
Listen, I'm giving, this opportunity is here, but guess what? It won't last long.
Right. Thank you. I will be on to the next. Exactly. That's a whole nother. We definitely have to talk about like confidence while pitching, because I
would love that. There's an art to it. You definitely have to step into it. But when you get in that groove, hey, I raised $350K in 4 weeks. You know, what I mean? Like, yeah,
that's huge. That's huge.
You can do it. You can do it.
We're still in a space where there's been less than 75 women, Black women, who have raised over $1 million for their company across all verticals. So to be able to be a woman of color who raised that money in this space is huge. For you to be able to go out and get that money is showing that you are doing what you need to do.
Real quick before we go, I'll encourage anyone, if you have questions, shoot them off now. Lindell asked, are you guys bringing in people from the city? I'm not sure which city you're talking about, Lindell. So let us know which city you're talking about. The workforce development program that Amber and Whitney spoke about earlier is for the city of Oakland. So if you are in Oakland, California, and you qualify for social equity status,
there's a special social equity worker status, which is much looser than if you were an owner. It's much easier to qualify, and we definitely bringing in the community from Oakland and training these folks. So, say DC. Yeah, we're not in DC yet.
Not yet. We're working on it. DC has some legislation to jumpstart their recreational program. So we have an opportunity there for the district coming up. And then, as you guys know, Virginia just legalized. And they really didn't detail their program. They pretty much said, like, there's gonna be this commission. There will be somebody who's focused on social equity and inclusion on the commission, and the commission will come up with all the regulations. So we still have an opportunity in Virginia to shape their social equity program. Maryland has not yet legalized. We have an opportunity there. Delaware is coming. So that whole area, the DMV area, has some opportunities to create programs like the program in the city of Oakland. Awesome. Okay, Erica. The initiative Supernova is launching are amazing. Do you see anything similar happening in Florida? Florida's a hard one.
It is a hard one. Florida, like the way they implemented their medical program was so exclusionary.
Yes.
It was brutal. Them requiring that you be a grower of citrus crops for X amount of years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like if you got
essentially went ahead and limited it to like 40 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many of those are brown? Let's talk about it.
Right. So there hasn't been anything popping, no type of social equity conversations or at least progress happening in Florida, unfortunately.
I think we're going to have to wait for adult use for legalization there to have another real shot at it.
Yeah.
Which is Florida's a hard market.
Yeah, which I actually is. I'm glad you brought that up, Hope, because that's kind of trash, right? Like, I feel like all of the medical folks get a head start.
Yeah. So look, we have one of the biggest cannabis companies in the United States that essentially is almost all in Florida.
Right.
Can you imagine that one company has so many stores in one state that they're worth almost $1 billion?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So how is that an equitable process if you're given this huge, like, carte blanche to, or grandfathering in these folks, when really social equity should have happened at the medical level? That should have started with any kind of regulation, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone else gets to put up barriers to entry and keep people out. Now they have a customer base. Now everyone's familiar with them. Now they've locked up good locations. They have so many advantages now.
Look at what's happening in Illinois.
Yeah.
They constantly figuring out ways to stop all these social equity licensees from operating. They still are sitting here in limbo. That's ridiculous. While all these other companies that were grandfathered in are just cashing in.
Yeah. It's like, okay, 1 year down, year 2, let's go. Likely, in Illinois, there will be no other new businesses open, I don't think, in 2021. Even if they're not going to be up and running and operational in 2021.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've got lawsuits flying left and right, and those legacy operators, they don't have to care. Take as long as you want to bring social equity on, because I'm continuing to build my base. I'm continuing to make my money in this exclusivity. So yeah, it's the commoditization of these licenses, and it becomes unfair.
Yep. And that's why we gotta, the states where we can still influence the medical programs, we gotta fight hard there so it's done right from the beginning. And if there's any traction, like Amber said, you can start at your local level. Your local representatives are the ones that will go to bat for you at the state level. And they want your votes, so they want to make you happy.
And not only that, but remember that the social equity program, this whole concept started at the city. This started at Oakland City Council with a council member who really believed in social equity. And one council member championed this whole thing, And so that was small, and that sparked a national conversation.
Yeah. And now look, I feel like this industry right now is kind of like, there's a spotlight on social equity. And if you are not exuding that you are an ally in this fight, you look a little shady right now.
It ain't just a look.
Right. You're racist.
You're a little shady.
Okay, one last question. Someone asked, any advice for medical professionals getting into the game? Either of you, right? Welcome. I mean, there's plenty of room for you.
We need you. We need medical professionals. I would suggest that you connect with other groups of medical professionals that are out there. There's a lot of different cannabis nurses group, cannabis doctors group. Connect with those groups. Yeah.
ACAM, you have Dr. Cox's group.
Do that. They will be able to give you the information and insights that you desire. But there is a lot of interest in having those people who can consult with patients, who can work in lab settings. You'd be surprised at how much of a need for medical professionals there are here in this space.
Definitely. Well, okay. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Like I said, I know you're very, very busy women, and we have a lot of work going on individually and with Supernova. So again, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to sharing more about what you guys do in the future in a few months. So we'll definitely be sure to have you guys back on the main line.
Dope. Thanks, Hope.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Good night. All right, guys. So that was another episode with two of my really good friends. And we're doing great things over at Supernova, and they're doing really great things individually too. So definitely follow them. You got their handles all throughout the show. And then you can join me back again next week for another episode of The Main Line. We're excited to carry on Women's History Month. All right. Good night, guys.